say welcome. It's been a while. Thank you for your interest in today's session. Thank you to everyone for the increased interest in getting these sessions going again. We look forward to having more meetings after this. Look forward to some in the fall, as summer is usually a bit quiet. So thank you for attending. We really appreciate it when you guys take the time to come and attend these user group meetings. It really means a lot. And I want to introduce myself. I am Tig Perozak, and also I want to introduce Fuyo Watanabe. We are both the leaders of the Calgary Tableau user group and have been for many, many years. And I also want to mention to you that in today's session, we are fortunate to have a $100 Tableau store gift card available. So please look for the link in the chat. We will post that in there so that you can enter for that draw, which we will draw near the end of the meeting. And I also want to mention that if you have any questions, please add those to the chat, or if you prefer, you can select under reactions at the bottom of the screen, the option to raise your hand, and we'll ensure that your questions get answered. Feel free to raise your hand at any time. It might be after the current slide or towards the end of that specific presentation where that individual presenter will take the time to answer your question, but we will watch for them. So don't worry about that. And thank you for participating and getting interactive and asking those questions. So without further ado, I just want to go ahead and introduce our first speaker, Donal O'Byrne. He's going to give us a 10-minute recap of the Tableau conference. So over to you, Donal.
All right, oh, am I off mute? You can hear me?
I can hear you.
Can hear you.
It's a miracle, yay. Okay. All right, so I was lucky enough, I got to go down to Vegas this year. And I guess the question that you were all having was it worth to go live? Yes, it was. Anyways, back to you. Wait, I got to keep going, don't I? No, that was supposed to be funny. Nobody laughed. I'm a little disappointed. Okay, why was it worth it? We got a chance to connect, for me anyways. I got a chance to, you know what it was? I got to meet everybody I've connected with for years on here. So, you know, I ran into Kevin Forlage at the getting muffins somewhere. And we're both like, oh my God, wow, it's you. Oh, wow, it's you. And then we had a great long conversation, right? And I know, Fu, you're a big fan of Michelle Freeman. I ran into her at Sarah Nell Rodriguez's one of her sessions, and it was great. And really, I just kind of fanboyed a lot, and it was super weird, but it was also excellent, right? You know, I got to meet Simon Beaumont, Mark Bradburn. You know what it's like at a conference. You get a chance to talk strategy. You know, we was able to have these great sessions with people working in not-for-profit sectors and analytics in actually with the Air Force. So it was a really neat conversation. And of course, connecting with the Tableau and Salesforce product owners. And Tableau was really good about that. One of the things they had in the you know, the big communal hall was they had an area for actual meetings that was kind of like, you couldn't get in there unless you had a meeting. You had to be there with a Salesforce or a Tableau person. But I got to have a chat with some of the product owners and some other potential clients for both Salesforce and Tableau. So it was a really good chance to showcase the platform and bring forward concerns that we may have had with some of the stuff that goes on with Tableau. Was it safe? Physically, absolutely. I've never seen so many off-duty cops, and they were all the big burly off-duty cops, and it was pretty solid. You get scanned into every session using RFID, so they were able to track really who was where, and you couldn't just crash a session. And some of them people were trying to crash them. Lots of bum and drug dogs. COVID protocols. I mean, it's Vegas. It was pretty lax at that point. People were like really in the States, no one masking at all. So yeah, I tested and isolated when I got home, and for some miracle reason, either my tests don't work or I didn't get COVID, which is a nice thing. Let's jump into just a few things of what could have been better. I mean, it's probably the same as every conference. Some of the sessions were very sales-ish, and some products that were presented, I didn't really see them being quite ready for corporate use yet. Probably the biggest one was virtual connections. It's a really cool idea, and I can't wait for it to be fleshed out. Definitely, I took one of those sessions and thought, definitely wouldn't have taken that one again. Some of the day 2 sessions, it really felt more like sales pitches. The community stuff on day 3 was brilliant. This is where, you know, everyone who's like us, who's presenting a session, participated. But I think there were 30 sessions. I could only get to 3 of them. So I would love to see more of those, you know, spread out during the conference. You can just get to more of them. Maybe cut back on some of the keynotes or run them in parallel with the without, you know, except for the keynote and Iron Biz. Run them in parallel with other big events where you're not hosting anything else. What were the sessions that I really liked? So, sorry, we'll jump into Iron Biz. Just a quick show of hands on here. Who's actually watched the Iron Biz competition? The Iron Biz competition. Just raise your hands in the chat if you have. All right, well, Fuya, I see a few people, 1 or 2 have done it. So if you haven't had a chance to watch it, I absolutely encourage you to watch it. Will Sutton's presentation, which I've got a link in here, I'm not going to jump to it now, was one of the best examples of Gestalt principles and the use of pre-attentive attributes I've ever seen. In fact, I now use it. Like in the last week, I've used it twice in classes on how to be a better developer and a better dashboard designer, showing how he uses that to really drive his story. It's absolutely a brilliant dashboard, but it's pretty intense. It is probably too much work to make work for a corporate environment. On the other hand, Kimley Scott, who came second, had a brilliant, simple storytelling technique using, it really is just using nested containers that with buttons that you would just walk people through a story. And instead of using, you know, story mode like we have with dashboards, this is a much tidier way of walking through components. And I loved it. I thought it could be applied anywhere. So if you haven't seen them all, take a chance and go watch them. Of course, Will Sutton won because his thing was just crazy. It was so crazy good. It was ridiculous. But a lot of lessons to be learned. All right, so a couple of sessions of note that I really enjoyed. One was teaching Tableau with Jim Denner and Tyler Weldon. And this session, there are links available on the Tableau site. This session really focused on teaching Tableau. And what I enjoyed about it was that there are so many things that I didn't think about, but it's true, right? You know, with the most important one, keep your lessons to either 25 minutes or 45 minutes and never go more than 45 minutes. If you have to do that, stretch it out into 2 classes. But, you know, these two, Jim and Tyler, are professional teachers, and they really structured the class with lots of stuff to come home from there. The other one that I really enjoyed, again, it was Sarah Nell Rodriguez, who's just the nicest person on the planet. I just adore her. Mind the Enablement Gap is about creating a community, and I know we're all on here either participating in or having done communities. And Sarah's and Jamie's session was just excellent. A really solid walk through the Tableau roadmap, focused on the community part, and you did the exercise there. So if you haven't done the Tableau roadmap, definitely something to do. Okay, the 2 big ticket items in terms of community-driven sessions: how to do cool stuff in Tableau. Sorry, my kid is texting me just as we're recording here, and it's driving me crazy. Sorry about that. How to do cool stuff in Tableau. This was the one. This session was so big that Kevin and Ken had to add a second session and move to a bigger hall, and people were trying to crash it. It was one of the most popular sessions. Their content is available for everything they did is on FlageTwins.com/cool stuff. Really neat things. And then finally, Simon Beaumont, right? You know, Simon's work inspires a lot of people in terms of the quality of enterprise standards and enterprise work. His JLL style guide inspired my style guide, and they just built some really slick dashboards. It was a nice, you know, it was kind of like a work over Wednesday, only they really stepped it up. Oops, and I've included a blank column, blank one in here. And that would be it. I think I got it in under 10 minutes, so I'll stop for questions here.
Perfect, well done.
Yes, thank you, Donal. That was fantastic. I know I really appreciated the sessions on teaching Tableau and creating community. I know a lot of us are looking at trying to incorporate communities within our organizations, so that's super valuable information. And thank you for all the highlights of the things that you enjoyed while you were at conference. It actually is making me feel motivated to go the next time that they have one, because it sounds like you had a great time.
I had a great time. It was not New Orleans, right? It wasn't Tableau, it wasn't TC18. That was something else, but this is a pretty good substitution.
Yeah, I really enjoyed New Orleans. I did manage to make that one. It was fantastic.
So I never made that one. That made me sad.
Oh.
We do have a question about someone's just commenting on the Salesforce acquisition and that it had a little more sales emphasis this year. I noticed that on the virtual side, that a lot of the sessions that were available virtually looked like a lot of partner and sales sort of sessions. We couldn't get the Flurledge twins. We couldn't get any Andy Kriebel. None of that was on the streamed side. So I think that was one of the advantages of being there live.
Well, there was, the other challenge with being there live was weeding out the partner ones and finding the community ones. There's a lot of partner ones that if you're not going to engage with a partner, you're really not going to use it. And you're kind of spinning your wheels. If you already know you're not going to buy in with that partner, I'm not going to go. That's for me. I wouldn't go to the workshop. So it was understanding exactly who was presenting and if it was a partner presentation with a platform or if it was just how to do cool stuff in Tableau, which is really what we're there for.
Yeah. I could write a blog post on like how to pick, like I just go in and I say, who is it going to, there's a certain set of people that I want to see speak. And that's like number one. And then the rest can kind of, the rest is an exercise of weeding out what you don't want.
100%.
All right.
So that's all I got. So.
Good. I am monitoring questions in the chat. I wasn't sure if the chat was working, but thanks, you guys. A couple of people have put comments in there. So that's great. Another idea that we did have today was if you are in a hiring position and you've got a job posting that you want to throw up there, go ahead and put it in the chat as well. Anything that's BI or data or analytics related, go ahead and put it in there. And then people can reach out. And then I did post the link to the draw and feedback form. So if you have a minute, check that out. And I think I will throw it back to Tink to do our next introduction.
Okay, thanks, Vio. Thanks for bringing up those links and reminding us all to make sure we enter the draw. So I'm going to introduce our next speaker now, who is Julie Sauvageau, and she's going to talk to us about Tableau Server more than just dashboards. So off to you, Julie.
Thank you. You can hear me well?
Yes.
Perfect. I will share my screen in a minute. So my name is Julie Sauvageau. People call me Julie Tableau as well. I did this presentation for the Canada Talk recently, and I was asked to participate to this one, and it's a pleasure to be with you today. I'm at TD Bank since 2011. It was my 11th anniversary of working there recently, this week, I think. I went in performance measurement right at the beginning. And of course, I fall in love with Tableau because it's the best BI tool to look at, a result of a performance and measure something. So I was really into the tool, and I was called by TD itself. They asked me if I was interested to be part of the enterprise Tableau implementation. And of course, I was thrilled to jump in the team. It was around 2015, 2016. So today, I will go over the journey of Tableau from the bank perspective, TD Bank. What was ready for the users right at the beginning. So the learning links, how to support them, how to have something effective for them right at the start. For those people that are thinking to start this as an enterprise tool, it may be a good hint on what to plan. Key elements that we are using to promote best practices. And on this side, we are, I think, kind of unique in the sense where we reinforce rules, very, very strict rules on server. And since the beginning as well. So those rules are implemented right at the start. So it's around the speed testing of all views and around a limitation for the data patterns and security. So, you know, how people can interact with the server and what you can or cannot publish. This has finally a direct impact on promoting best practices. It was really not the intent at the beginning. We just, you know, realized that because of that, people were, you know, adopting best practices faster because it was not a choice. And of course, I will talk about the tooling and support we have for the user at the end. I will try to limit myself to 40 minutes. I could talk about that 3 hours. So Frio, you can interrupt me and tell me when I have 15 minutes left. Maybe I will miss your little signal. So as well, after each slide, I will pause and ask you if you have a question. Feel free to unmute yourself and ask the question. If the question is requiring a long answer, I will keep you at the end and I will stay here and answer your question, or I can eventually connect with you in a one-on-one. On the screen right now, you have the overview of the journey at TD Bank for Tableau. So back in 2014 up to 2016, this was not an enterprise tool. It was used in US only, and they were using the reader. So people were sending to each other workbooks and sharing visualization. But a lot of people were falling in love with the tool, and the server was missing, of course. And the big piece, the server itself, was added in 2017 as an enterprise tool, meaning that all employees of TD, it's more than 95,000 now, can have access to this server. So it's huge. We currently have, and I will just move this because I have that on my screen. We currently have a concurrency of approximately 1,000 users. By concurrency, it means how many users will access views at the same time. So we have moments in the day, and I will show you, we have image of that, where users will all access the server at the same time. And we are at 1,000 approximately sometimes. More than 9,000 users every day. It's representing approximately 1 million accesses monthly. And we have monthly around 40,000 distinct users. I'm not trying to remember the number. I'm trying to say the number in English. I speak French as my first language. So this is why sometimes I will say something that is not making sense. But and I saw that there is the captioning on. I'm very, very bad for captioning. So I'm sorry for people that's reading caption right now. So any question for the journey? I know this is an easy one, but if you have a question, you can just unmute and ask.
Quick question.
Yes.
What is the standard for how fast your pages should load?
Oh, this is incoming. It's not now. Wait for it.
Thanks.
No problem. So the agenda, the next item is, you know, what was ready for the user. So I will go through that very quickly because it's all around the community, and we are a community right now. So we try to mimic a little bit a community, a Tableau community, but inside TD. And to do that, we have a tool called Connections. So it's where you can find all employees, connect with each other, and you can create a page. And then we did create a page for Tableau Center of Excellence, and everything is there. I mean, everything. We have each day a ton of visitors looking for the rules, how to do things, the step-by-step. Everything is documented very in details with the link for the procedures, how to create 80 groups, everything is there. And because we did that, the support is easier because we don't have to type everything. We have quick parts in Outlook, and we send the links for them to read, and they can, you know, find by themselves what they are looking for most of the time. And on this community, we also publish, you know, all the material for the live sessions we give. The recording are accessible as well in a channel named TDTube. So it's kind of a YouTube, but internal. Everything is internal. So we did put in place all the material to help them and the documentation in one single place to make sure that they are not lost and they will know everything about the server, desktop, how to get the license and everything. So you can find, and this is, when you see a slide that is ugly like that, it's for me. I'm not supposed to show that to you for a long time. It's because I realized that when I hide a slide from PowerPoint, it's hidden for me as well. So it was not a good plan. So I did unhide so you see it. Anyway, so how you can order the license, the rules for the server, and I'm coming with that, David. Don't worry, I didn't forget you. When to use Tableau Server. So it's clear on the page on when to use Tableau that we want people to use Tableau for visualization. So this is a big step for TD and for a lot of organization. A lot of them will try to use Tableau to get the data out, to download everything and then do their stuff with the data. So we wanted to avoid that, and we are clear on that. And this is, again, the rule for the speed will reinforce that. So if they try to display a huge grid on opening with a lot of filters to all everywhere, they will trigger an alert. They will not be able to publish on production, and they will have to rework the view to be more visual with more selection and filter at least. And sometimes we just tell them, you don't need Tableau, you need to access the data directly. So we have also, because of the community, the possibility to contact everyone. So monthly, we will send the link to the calendar that you see on the screen right now, top right. They have a Tableau calendar, by the way, where they can click. This will open the ICS in Outlook and they can register themselves. So we have some session with 60 persons sometimes 15 when it's a repeated session, but we make sure every month to offer something new. You have in yellow, you can see the Jedi sign there, Jedi sessions with tips and tricks. So we try to be fun. We try to learn them, to show them tricks, advanced or beginner. So we try to cover all the skill levels. We also have the skill belt, which is a program, a step-by-step program you can follow at your own pace. And you can see the levels we have: Youngling, Jedi Initiate, Padawan, Jedi Knight, Master, and Grandmaster. I think we have more than 10 Jedi Master now after 2 years. So some people will really go to through the program until the end. It's a lot of work, but we have many people taking at least the 3 first level, and it's very interesting for them. It's interesting for us as well, conducting those sessions, because you can see how people will grow in their visualization skill from the beginning to the end. So any question regarding the community and what was there to welcome all users on the platform?
Hey, Julie, it's Donal.
Yep.
I see you're using Degree as your learning platform for that.
Yes.
Did you have a learning group to create badges that you then attach to your skills, like to give people the badge, that give like a badge at the end of it?
It was the intention, but we were not able to go that far yet.
Okay. Yeah, we use Degree as well, so that's why I'm just curious to see how the people are using it.
Yeah, and from my understanding of TD tools, we probably are few version late. You know what I mean? So it's really taking a lot of time to upgrade tools sometimes. So maybe we don't have the possibility, and or maybe the policies is restricting things to be attached and sent to users. Sometimes it's like that.
Yeah. Thanks,
So,
Julie.
but I will ask Catherine, which is the skill belt master. She's the one that set up this. By the way, in the team to support all those users, that's representing almost 3,000 developers in Tableau at TD Bank. We are 3%, only 3. And one thing that was up and running right at the beginning, by the way, it was the portal for the support. So we did create a mailbox for the users so they can reach to us if they have questions. and all kind of questions related to Tableau. We were like, come on, ask us questions. Come on, come on. So sometimes we have how to do this bar chart, how to display this formula. I have the wrong number. Why? Sometimes it's like we want a license. How to do that? We simply provide the links. So every day we have around 45 to 50 requests to answer right now. And it's stable since 2.5 years now. So I think we reach, some people don't contact us anymore because they are Tableau Jedi or whatever, they know their stuff. And we have only the new people contacting us for most beginner questions sometimes, but we see as well inside the community itself at TD that we have some people that are SMEs in their own area, and they are answering questions for their colleagues. So it's moving a little bit, but we have always around 40 to 50 requests in the mailbox. We have a portal as well that is a Tableau portal for all the services. So you can click on a desktop server and select the service you want. This will open automatically templates for the production team, because now we have production team that is helping us for some requests like access requests. And I'm coming to that when I will talk about security. But now we can redirect to the good team based on the service. So as soon you have something centralized that will redirect to the good team, this will help your users to feel less lost and help to have the request sent to the good place. So one of the key elements to promote the best practice, the rules around testing and speed. So this is huge because we ask people to have all the views they publish to load under 10 seconds, David. It's 10 seconds. And, for this rule, and I will tell a little bit of the story. I was really at the beginning when we were looking to have the server at TD. Even before they called me, we got this proof of concept server that was free and provided by Tableau, so we can play with it, and fall in love with server and buy the solution. And I was admin of this server. It was a very, very small server. And because I'm someone very marketing, I did contact many teams to say, look, we have the server. I can create you a space and you can try it. And people were all excited. So a server that was supposed to host maximum, 100 people. It was really small. I ended up with 500. So this is where the rules were created, because I didn't want this server to become a mess. And and I will talk about the security later. But more than that, I remember this team publishing 3 workbooks that were really heavy on the data side. It was 2 of them were live connection, and 1 of them was an extract embedded into the workbook. But they were very, very slow. And I did discover that because the server was going down every week. So at the beginning, I was thinking it was because, I onboarded too many people. But then I began to analyze the data behind the scene and realized that when the issues began, it was at the same time those workbooks were published on this site, the 3 heavy workbooks. And I began to look at the delay for the opening, what we call the bootstrap session in the Postgres. And those were very, very high numbers, like 49 seconds to create a view and deliver the view. So the VizQL, which is a process behind the scene, was really working very hard. And I contacted the team and just turned down those 3 workbooks, and the issues stopped. The server was healthy again. So I said, okay, now we know what is causing, the server to go crazy. Yes, we are at the maximum resource we can, but I realized that the speed and the resource that we need to deliver something that is very heavy will impact the server. So basically, we are saying that one user opening a view that is taking 50 seconds to open is in fact representing 5 users using your server. So if you calculate all the views you have that are very slow, you need more resource than you should to deserve, to deliver the views you want to deliver to your users. So this is why we did implement this process you have on the screen. Don't try to read the small numbers. I will go through the process with you right now. It's really, really easy. You define your metric, you determine your audience, you list a question to answer. So this is the requirement phase, and I'm always asking people that need help on, what is the metric and what question you want to answer. Many of them are not able to answer that because they wanted a grid. So the process stopped there. I just tell them, go back to your design table. You need to answer specific questions with your vises because you cannot just explore the data and have a free-for-all dashboard. When you have those metrics defined, it's always the same. You draft the view and then you test for the speed. If the view is fast enough, you can draft the other one. And you do that for all the views you have, and you do that at the end, last time, and then you publish on production. So we have two servers, one a server for testing environment, user acceptance testing, call it whatever you want, but it's really to develop and test the speed. I will talk about the tool we are using in a moment. And when all the views are tested with a good speed, then you can publish on production. And we have this rule for many years now. All the views are tested at TD. Some of them are not, but if they are slow, I will get an alert and you will have to remove the view immediately. So it's very effective. So people are not taking chance anymore. If they are not sure if it's the 10 seconds, they will proceed with the testing. So because of that, we avoid the huge grids on opening showing all the data. We avoid having too much quick filters on the view. Some people will fill their views with all the filters they can think about. Workbook with unprepared data, it's a huge thing too. So they will just drop all the data, they have all the fields, drop some fields on the screen, but all the fields that are behind the scene needs to be taken care by Tableau. So when you don't hide the fields you don't need, you may lose some precious seconds. So I saw some workbooks going from 24 seconds, and when they did hide the unused field, it went to 5 seconds loading time. So it can be a huge thing, especially if you hide some calculation in there. Tableau will not have to calculate them on opening. So it can make a huge difference. And this option, you will find it if you Google Tableau hide unused fields, you will find the option and the description of this feature, but it's amazing. Dashboard with too many worksheets. I remember one dashboard with, I'm not kidding, 103 worksheets. Duh. Each worksheet will have to request the data. So let's say you have one worksheet that is very effective and it's 0.1 second. Do that multiplied by 130, whatever. You will get many seconds just to connect and do the filtering for the data, but not all of them are effective anyway. So you want to limit your workbooks to 10 maybe maximum views. Sometimes I see some workbooks that are effective with more than that, but be aware, if you don't do the testing, you may not know how many times Tableau will take to load that. Now I will take a pause and take the questions. I'm about to show you how the testing is done. Any questions so far?
So I have some questions, and I think that was. Can you back up one slide? Just I love how much emphasis goes on this testing and the speed and the efficiency of it, because when you don't pay attention to those things, that's when the problems just explode, right? So I love this part of your presentation. And so there's two things. Number one, I can beat your 103 worksheets. I've seen more. And then I think I asked you this when I saw your presentation the first time, but my question was about the grids. Like, what is it that makes the grids so much worse than just a regular visualization?
It's the number of elements on the grids. In fact, it could be a map with, let's say you do a map with all the TD employees. representing a dot, that will be as slow as a grid. So each cell will be a data display, data point. So it's a data point displayed. So a grid with a lot of cells, each cell will be a data point, in fact. So, and Tableau behind the scene will continue to load the grid that you don't see. So if you have a grid with millions of rows, there you go. And we have sometimes users trying to do that, and and they have the 10 seconds, but it's limit. And sometimes a user will contact us and say, hey, the extract and export is not working. No, it's working. It's because Tableau is not, overloading your grid on the screen. So, hey, by the way, we have this rule, link of the rule. You have too many rows and cells. You need to remove this workbook. And then they freak out and they have to remove, they change, they filter better, and then it's solved. So when they reach to me and I see a grid, I'm looking on how many cells can be displayed, and you can be sure that I will email with, you cannot do that.
And I think that's one thing that people don't really connect the dots, the impact, that when you have a grid and they're scrolling, Tableau's caching all of that, and that's what's taking time. So even if you're only looking at this much of the grid, if there's a scroll bar, it's got to keep loading, right? And that's
exactly. And the best example I can give them is that, this old tool you were using, you had this button to load this grid somewhere. How many seconds you were waiting to get the results? Oh, it was long, like 10 minutes. And there you go. You're asking Tableau to load all the data very fast. It's not a database. Tableau is not a database. It should be there with insights on opening. Oh, something is happening. What? Is it bad? Good? Fair enough? And this is it. It should be visual. And then you want to investigate something wrong, you click on the wrong thing only, and then you filter out and have the good drill down for your data. So this will make all the difference for the views as well. And the minding of delivering visualization with this rule, people had no choice. So it was amazing for that, because they were without resource and saying to us, what I do, I just remove and we lose the solution. I was like, no, what is the question you want to answer? Oh, I don't know. It's my management. We need to sit down with management, what they do with that. And then with talking with people and asking questions, we did discover, oh, they go there, they download, they filter in Excel, they do the pivot table to know what are the top 10 vendors. Duh, just show the top 10 vendor. So, and it's okay. It's normal that people do that, because it's taking time. You need to have a cycle in your metrics. You need to define things, and this is taking time. But you have two choices. Have a good Tableau resource with visualization and insights at a glance, or dump the data and keep the manual work that you don't know about somewhere in your enterprise. And I can bet that people downloading and doing manually all those reports will cost way more than forcing them to have a good project, effective with visualization that are meaningful. So you can see I'm able to debate that, for hours. I like to meet the teams, by the way, that have this issue, because it's eye-opening. I have demos, examples for them. Sometimes when I have time, I can build a proof of concept with their own data, and on the fly, on the meeting, I'm asked, so what do you do with this extract? What do you want to know? And then I can drag on the other side and look, if you have that in Tableau, you just eliminate everything you just told me. You save.
I'm the same. I always want to know, like, well, what are you going to do with it next, right? I really like to, back in the day when we would actually be in person in the office, I always tried to book my meetings in the user's office, so that if they were going to do something next, I could watch them and see what they were going to do with it next. Because you learn a lot, but also I find that, and it's not necessarily that they just don't know that they can get you to do it.
Exactly.
On the Tableau
exactly
side,
they
right?
don't know what they want. This is what I realized. They don't know what they need. They just answer, I need the data, but no, tell me more. So
Yeah,
we need them
yeah.
to talk to us. And this is in the
Focus
yellow
it.
phase, by the way. To determine who is your audience. This is super important. People will all sometimes answer me all. No, you cannot do one dashboard for all. This is not existing.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
this view is really helping people to do the good steps and to build the good way. The sad thing when they publish something on production that is slow is that we have to take all those steps back with them. So it can be painful for them, of course, because they thought the project was over. But no, you need to
Never
redo
over.
everything. Yeah. I
Anyone
hope
else
I
have
answered your
anything, or-
question. Yeah.
I was going to jump in. So we adapted a rapid dashboarding template. I posted the link on the chat here, created by Julie Lau, and it's designed, or I'm saying her name probably wrong, and it's allows you to walk your stakeholders and your clients through the dashboarding process. And the goal is to, like, you don't touch a dashboard till step 4. You don't touch Tableau. It's all about the who, what, and where, and why, right? What decisions are this driving? What's the next conversation you have? What's the action you have to take?
And this is so important. What decision making you need to take and when, because we have some people asking for a quarterly refresh of the data every hour. And I'm asking them, are you a plain company or what? What decision you make with that? Well, it's because we don't know when they will look at the dashboard. And yeah, but what decision they make with that? Oh, it's because they need the data and we don't know when. Yeah, but what decision they make with that? So you want
exactly. Yep.
And what I really like from Tableau, the visibility on who is accessing what and when. This is amazing because you have those very high, profile, very needed by the bank, and where everyone needs that right away, that are accessed twice a month. Yeah, so
Yep.
we need to talk, right? So some
This
people
is a great
don't.
link.
There's
Yeah,
the
I'm
whole
taking notes.
conversation to be. Oh, it's great. So there's the whole conversation to be had on making that data more available. Certainly the traffic to dashboards is more available now with the upgrade to Tableau Data Management. We're just rolling it out. I'm a huge fan already because it just asks those questions. We I think the only challenge we actually tried rolling out all of the admin traffic dashboards as standalone extracts running once a day for users, but we do have confidential dashboards, and some of our groups that have internal assurance and other groups like that did not want even the names of the dashboard being visible, and you could see the name of the dashboard. So despite my suggestion to call it the Mickey Mouse or the Donald Duck process, that we know what they were talking about, they weren't open to that, so we had to draw it back. I think there's a
one group what they did, they named the workbook with codes. So it's really the codes EWR 00129, and this is how they solved this challenge.
They were not open to that. I'm going to tell them that TD does that, and now I can compete with you guys.
Oh yeah, you guys both work for banks.
So how we have the users testing. At the beginning, old version of Tableau 2018, whatever, and it was working. It sounds so childish, but it was working. I was just asking people, look, you publish on the testing environment, you generate the link to your view, and you click, you open your view 10 times and you're done, right? It's over. But with the new version of Tableau, the cookies and the memory behind the scene was building up, and something happened with Chrome. I don't know what is it exactly, but when we were doing this click thing and opening 10 times the dashboard, Chrome was taking all the memory and the workstation was to restart. So I was like, oh no, what do we do? So I did a quick batch file generator for them. It's in Excel. They paste the link of their view, and it will generate the text, the copy paste in the notepad and save as a batch file. So it's not that long. And then this just start the batch file. At the end of the batch file, I just kill the task of Chrome and the memory is back. Ta-da! So it's working well. Everyone is using that. I even have, you know, a detector of bad links, because you have some new users that will have the link to the workbook instead of the view. Duh, this will not work. and so you really need to have, if you have 10 different views, 10 different dashboards, you need 10 batch file. You can reuse the same name and everything is fine. And I want to, you don't see that a lot, very clear. Oh, there you go. This is the slide I wanted to show you. So this is how they see the results of their testing. So what I'm doing in the back end, I'm reading only the bootstrap session, because in the batch file, we call Tableau with the refresh flag. This will tell Tableau, hey, I want you to regenerate everything, all of you. It means that if a single user is calling 10 times the same link, it will be considered by Tableau like 10 different users. And we get with this method the exact same loading time than you get with a production. So if you test with 17 seconds in the testing environment, if you have 5-6 users accessing the view at the same time, I will have the exact same loading time. So it's very effective. I think in, you know, behind the scene, Tableau will cut the resource in the VisQL by 10 users, actually, something like that. So I was able to isolate, you know, something that is reflecting the real loading time. For people that don't have access to Postgres, and someone was talking about that at the beginning of the meeting, you can get access of this loading time data on, I don't know, monthly or quarterly, to target the workbooks that are causing, you know, or that will request more resource from your workbook, and study, you know, the loading time you have on the server another way. If you are interested, if you have access to the Postgres and you have your own server, I can send you the request I'm using. How to calculate that is very simple. I'm using the HTTP table behind the scene and the bootstrap session only. In this table, you have a lot of information. The workbook name is not 100% good. Tableau will remove the space and the underscore and things like that, but at least we can identify quickly what workbook is slow. So this is how they verify the results. We ask them to have at least 10 hits. You can see here the batch file was run 1 time, and the seconds is average, 3 seconds, 2 seconds, 4 seconds. You see the bubbles that represent each hit. And this one is an example of a view that cannot be published on production, 17 seconds. And you can see it's growing back in memory, stacking up. And after a few users, you will have over the 10 seconds. Any question for this one? All good? Now on the screen, you have the other side, my side, where I can, you know, beat people and run after them to remove their workbooks. So it's the alert we receive up to 3 times per day. So I refresh in the background, again, the HTTP table in an incremental extract I have. I do the rotation between 2 incremental extract because it's a huge table with 1 million access. For a small server, you can have this extract running for a few years. So we can see the site name, the workbook name, and the view that is causing a high loading time. You can see in orange, we will take action. So the number 1, this team was contacted as an example immediately, and we can look, we have on over of the mouse, we can look at the history of the dashboard for the loading time. So you can see if it's an old workbook slowly growing up, meaning that they didn't test with realistic data, or if it's a new workbook, like the example number 3 on the screen that was published on production directly and offering 15 seconds for 7 users. So in this case, we contact this person immediately and we ask the workbook to be removed, and they need to proceed with the testing on the testing environment. So we have, oh, different scenarios. Sometimes it's an old workbook. Sometimes it's an old workbook, but a new view as well. So we have in this tool, it's very interactive. We have the history, but the history of publishing as well. So we can see for an old workbook, all the new views published. We can verify in the testing environment if it was tested. We have access to all the testing at a glance. And in 2 minutes, we can determine what is the action to take for the different cases we have. Any question for that?
I have a question for the audience. I'm kind of curious if anyone else works in a system where they monitor this as closely or with as much structure as Julie's team does. If anybody has any comments on that, I'm very curious.
Yeah, me too. It's a good question because everywhere I go, people are just like, wow, you're doing that. And I never heard, oh, we're doing that too.
I appreciate how strict you are with these. I just want to that's awesome. Go, right? But you kind of see the need for it when at the scale that you're at, right? So I think some smaller shops may be like, it doesn't matter if it's 10 seconds, it doesn't have to be that, rigid. But when you get to this scale, I can see why you would need to do that and have that. The structure and the process, I think, is probably what makes it successful, because it's one thing to have all these rules, but if you can't really help people get there, then it's not going to work, right? So
exactly.
I really love how this is all set up, but I am very curious if this is kind of the exception, or is this the standard for big sites? I don't see any comments in the chat.
No,
so.
I will ask on LinkedIn as well. I'm curious
I
to
tell
see
you
if
we're not doing it. We just don't have the resources for it. Although I think, Julie, so I know, Julie, we've talked before about this, and I think most of your sites are your dashboard's using extracts, right? You've got a lot of
we have live connection as well, and they need to respect the 10 seconds as well. So I tell people, if you have, live connection, you need to have an excellent design. Excellent.
Yep, and that is what right now we are focused on getting better designs in the back end, just in order to get that performance up. So I would love to.
And now, yeah, and now we have a lot more live connections than before. In the last year, it was growing a lot. And I can tell you that the picture you have on the screen right now, it's one of the bad days we can have. Today, I got 2 lines in my alert, and it was 12 seconds and 10 seconds, and that's it.
Nice.
And the server was accessed by thousands of hits. So right now the server has a perfect score. No slow views.
I don't have examples of who's using it and who's not using it, but I would have to concur with everybody that it's probably pretty rare. Like, you guys have a very well managed, well organized kind of system. But I do remember going to see Roman present this at New Orleans in 2018, and there were audible gasps in the room when he said, "Yep, our workbooks are 7 seconds. They load in 7 seconds or they come down." And people went, "Oh."
There you go.
It's nice to hear that it can be done, and that it's a reasonable standard. So I see Rupert's got a message here.
And I guess that it makes an impact, though, right? Like that.
Oh,
it's
absolutely.
This makes it usable for everybody, right?
Every month we communicate with around 70 persons. We ask them to proceed immediately with the testing, because we are doing this process of comparing production with the testing environment. And when something is not tested and new, we tell them, you test or we remove next week. And they proceed with testing. Every 2 weeks we do that. So monthly, it's representing around 70 workbooks that were published as a ninja trying, and we make sure that they know the process, they are onboarded on the testing environment, and with good speed. We verify the speed. When they say, "Oh, yes, I test," we go and look. And if we don't find the test, we tell them, "I don't find the test." oh, this testing. Oh, yeah. So they have to go through.
Realistically though, Julie, like, is this a full-time job chasing people down and making them?
No,
like,
I
how
was
much
doing,
time does it take?
the alert is automated. So we receive the alert. And if we have like this day on the screen, it's 3 emails to send. I have a template. So it's about 5 minutes. And then you just need to track the removal though. If you tell this team you have 2 weeks to solve, I quickly enter in Excel the removal date, and we touch point the next week to make sure, because the week is incoming. So are you good? Or we will remove next week. So this follow-up can be painful, but it's not happening a lot. It will happen maybe 1 or twice a month only. And people know after. They will not redo the same mistake of growing the data without looking at the performance. So they are learning, but the verification of the material not tested, to send 70 emails, it will take around 2 hours monthly to send the emails. And then we need to take back the answer and track. So this part is around 1 hour per day. I was doing it alone before, and now we have a team for customer support that is doing it. I am helping them to do it when they have questions, but it's mainly sending email, massive email, so you can automate this part as well and verify the testing done. I did a tool for them so they can see for a site all the testing done recently, so they can know right away if it was done. Yes, solve. So they close the case.
So a lot of automation then that you've built into the process that just it alerts you. As I think,
yeah, the alert is awesome. Yeah,
I would say a lot of the hesitation is just kind of the thought that this takes too much time to do, or the overhead of trying to enforce these sorts of rules is a lot. So that's just kind of where my mind goes, is, you know, how many people do you need to do this all the time, and what does that cost? And
yeah, you need to organize things in batch, you know, so you need to verify new stuff. Well, you will select the new workbooks only, and then you verify quickly if it's tested, tick, 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 tick. So that can take maybe 1 hour. And then for the remaining, you didn't find the test, you're pretty sure it was not tested, copy paste in Excel, send the email, and then wait for the answer. And then you just close cases. So it's relatively fast when you're used to do it.
Okay.
On the screen right now, I'm using the same table on the screen to detect issues we may have with server. It's sometimes very hard to monitor if the server is up and running. I'm using the same principle of loading time behind the scene to receive alerts when a node is down or about to be down. Sometimes we are recently on the cloud on Azure, and it was difficult for the team, the production team, to monitor that. So now I can receive an alert. I know how many people are impacted by slow loading time. So on the bottom, you have the loading time that are considered slow, over 10 seconds. You can see the normal day, it's all green. Everything is green except this one here. We contacted the team and, you know, beat them. But you can see here that it's a server issue. It's not, you know, only one team. So when the loading time are going up over 60 seconds, something is wrong, and we can react right away and restart a node or do something about it. So I really like this one. So yeah,
I'm just going to give you you've got about 15 minutes.
Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Okay, let me restart that. I will. Oh, this is the history of the workbook I was talking about. So when you click on one workbook in the tool, I call it the alert exploration tool, to understand what's happening. You can see that at the beginning in August, this was published and very fast, but not very in use. And then people began to use it a little bit more, which is good. But here, something happens suddenly. Mid-November, boom, it's 25 seconds, 30 seconds. Then we can look with the publisher, you know, what happened? Oh, you did add this new view. Wonderful. Look at the results. So we can copy the screen share with them and look the impact on the server. Now it's taking 3 users instead of 1 when they open this view. So remove that. So it's helping us to show them that no, it's not the server. All the server is healthy. It's only this view, and look what happened when you have multi-user. And when they go in the testing environment anyway, they will get exactly the 22 seconds they have in prod. So sometimes they say, no, it's fast. And then I look at the testing results on my screen and I'm smiling because I see the 22, 25 popping up. And I was like, haha, I told you. How many time I got? 4 minutes, like something like that?
You have 13 minutes.
13? Yeah. Oh, okay. I thought 30. I was like, woo. But 13, okay.
1-3.
So the next slides are about the limitation of the server, because not only because we are a bank, but because you want to control a little bit what the users will do. So I see organizations sometimes where they can publish whatever they want. They can activate whatever they want, connect to whatever they want, and invite some other people in the site, whatever they want. So of course, in a bank, you cannot never do whatever you want. And so we did implement, of course, the AD group is mandatory to simplify the server and the support. Right at the beginning, we told people that you cannot create a folder. I have some people on shock now, I'm sure. No, you cannot create a folder. You need to request the folder to the production team, and the folder should be dedicated to an audience. You don't create a folder for an initiative. You create a folder for an audience because the security is linked to the folder. So you will assign your 80 groups that are the audience of all those workbooks that will be in your folder. So if you have different audiences, then you will create different level of folders and different folders. We are not supporting the multi-level folders as well, because we have way too many sites. It would be very hard to support that and for the users to understand the model. So one level of folder representing the audience, and that's it. We instead recommend to use the tags and a good naming convention for your workbook, so people can see the workbooks in the good order by initiative if you want, and or search for a category of metrics using the tags. And the tags are amazing. You can have a URL link of all workbooks from one category just with one URL. So explore this solution because you know, it can replace the portal you were thinking about for a specific list of workbooks by category. The tag is amazing, and you can link here are all the workbooks regarding the performance of whatever, and the users will see at a glance in one click all the workbooks together. So it's really, really amazing. We tell them basically to not use the folders at all for sharing a group of workbooks. So use the tags or a naming convention that is better. And the search is very awesome. So other than that, we also tell people that they cannot activate a workbook or have a workbook on schedule. Why is that? First, for the support, we want to visually be able to explore all data sources in one click. When we go on a site, I can do explore data source, and I have on my screen all data sources that can be connected to a database and be on schedule. The workbook cannot be on schedule. So because of that, people will centralize a little bit more the data. You will have less workbooks connecting to the same data and refreshing on the different schedules, you know, everywhere. They will consolidate in one data set, one extract, and this extract can be on schedule, and that's it. So when they have this data set refreshed, all the workbooks are refreshed as well. So if you have a live connection or an extract you need for your reporting, it needs to be outside in a data source publish. And we help them to build you know, good practice around that. They will use what I call a data master that is made with Tableau, especially to manage the data. So you will, in this data master, name the fields properly, decide of the default color if you want, and define all the fields you will need for your reporting, generic formulas only, and then you will publish this extract for your developers. So we did develop those roles you have on the screen. We have, of course, the viewers that can only filter and say, wow. And then you have the interactors that can also explore the underlying data behind the scene. Other than that, we have the publishers, so they can publish workbooks, regular workbooks, and connect to a data set that is on Tableau. And then you have the Tableau data stewards, and they are the only one that can publish a data set for the developers. So small sites will have only data stewards that can publish as well. But bigger sites where they want to manage the data more closely, they will have some people data steward and some only publishers. So with those roles, since the beginning, it didn't change. Everyone is happy. The SME role is a special one, is when you prepare data, the SME locally with the desktop will be able to connect to this data. So for the teams that were requesting those huge grids, I'm telling them, if you need the data, you need Tableau. You will connect and see the data you need, and you will not slow down the server that much for the VisQL process anyways. And you can provide them with templates. Locally, they can drag and drop, change things, break anything if they want, and take back the templates originally and start over. So people are a little bit learning about Tableau because of that. They finally, leaving a little bit Excel because of that as well. But they can extract this way and do the things that wanted to do with the grids. So a lot of restriction, but because of that, it's very, very fast for us to, when something is wrong with a data source, we go on the site, data source, explore all data source, this one, and it's over. It would be really, really hard if a workbook was on schedule, what workbook in what folder, where it would, be a slower reaction for all the teams. And this way it's, I think, very optimized. Any question around that? All right. So by the way, you will have the PDF after the session, so you can take a look about the roles. This is the portal I was talking about. It's a Tableau portal. It's really, really, modern and everything. At the beginning, it was a huge pie chart, and each piece of the part was a service. It was ugly. Oh my God, I was young and innocent, but now it's bar chart, which is good. And when you click on Tableau Desktop, you have all the services related to Tableau Desktop and all best practices as well, linked to the skill belt, everything. Tableau Cloud Server, you have here a section for security managers. So this is a virtual role. They are not necessarily on Tableau. Usually they will be, but they are the person managing the security, because we don't want to receive 3,000 requests for access. We don't know if they should access or not. So for each site, they have their own security managers, and we rely on them for everything. We push users to them. Contact your security manager. Security manager will send a request to production. I need this new AD group. I need this new folder. Can you remove this AD group? There you go. So we don't manage, this level of detail because of that. And production, when they receive a request, they just look, is it the security manager? Yes or no? And if yes, they proceed. So each site will have 2 or 3 security managers, and AD group are not changing that much. And on their side, they receive around 30 requests per day approximately. It not only access requests, of course, some other technical requests as well, but they receive those kind of requests. Other tooling, we have many. I don't have the time to go through all of them, but the security lookup is an interesting one. So you can, for a site, go there and look at what folders they have and what are the AD group assigned. So users will be able to register themselves to the AD group, and the owner of the AD group will accept or reject the request, which is saving us some support as well. I have a server console, so I show you a little bit, how to detect when something is down, a node or something. I know it's not possible for people that don't own their own server, but if you own, it's good to have a console about important things to track. Right now, I'm beginning to track how many schedules we have every day that are running. I think the number by memory is 1,250 schedules run by each day, something like that. So what we need to do is to balance the schedule. When are they running? So I have this amazing clock where I can see, when the schedule will start, and we have something to do because between 8 and 9, we have way too much schedule starting at the same time for many, many teams. So we need to balance and probably shift some schedule more around 10 in the morning or before 6 a.m. when it's possible. So again, it's to list, to look at, is it used or not? I have a data set, a usage detector as well. So a data set that is refreshed 3 times a day, but accessed 2 times per month. It's a no-no. So we need to run after those people and say, look, you're refreshing a lot, but you're not using. Can we remove this schedule, right? So it's a lot of hygiene of the server and maintenance that you need to think about very soon, because when the server is getting popular, it's very hard to remove the rights people have, or the everything they have. You need to have a good reason to remove something or move something, and this kind of monitoring will help you. I don't know what is available by default on the Tableau site, when you don't have the Postgres. And I know they sell some tooling for the server as well, but I didn't look at that. And this is an example. Oh, you can see the 1,035 user concurrency. So I really like this view because you have all the time of a day on the side, and then you have the day at the top. So you can see when the server is the most busy each day. So, and I don't know if it's a Monday or not, but I can tell we did analyze this data, and Wednesday and Thursday are the most busy day for us. So this will help us to know, when we can do maintenance of the server, how many users are impacted if we do a shutdown at this time. Things like that. And we can analyze the trend as well. You can see the self-service statistics we are offering to the security manager. So they will receive a personalized link where they see only their site, and they can know how many users access what, the top 5 most popular workbook and views, and they can take a decision to remove something that is not in use. This is my data source refresh. So it was 1,165, but it's more than that now. It's growing. So we need to do something. For each refresh and site, I'm able to drill down to the data and look at that. I drill down to a day. I'm pointing my screen right now. It's funny. I always do that. You can drill down for a day, and then for how many time the refresh is taking and how many users did use this data. Here it's none. 159 refreshes done in the last 40 days, and it was not accessed at all. This is a no, no, no. So we can list and reach to people and say, look, you forgot the schedule. Don't rely on people to think about things like that. You set up a schedule 3 times a day and then you do something else. You will not get back and, is my schedule still useful, right? So you need to take a check of that. By the way, the schedule naming, if you have multiple sites, we did assign, when we create a site, we assign a code. And all schedules in the system are beginning with the code of the site. So schedules are together and we know what site the schedule is part of, because it's a global view and all the schedules are displayed. It's very it's very messy. So you can have a naming convention for that. If you need another trick, you can contact me on LinkedIn. If you need the request how I do things, just ask. I will do my best to answer you. And if you have other questions at the end of this session, I can stay for you. So don't hesitate to stay and raise your hand.
Thank you so much, Julie. That was a fantastic presentation. Thank you for highlighting the speed monitoring. That definitely, got some conversation going. And thank you for highlighting the portal for questions and for the services. I love the way that you set that up. And also talking about your monthly metrics and how you're monitoring that. So thank you very much for sharing that with us today.
It was a pleasure. We have a shy audience, but it's okay.
Yeah. So I am going to, we're going to do the draw. So I've got about 10 people who have signed up. So if you haven't had a chance yet, please go ahead and click on that link and fill that out. But I also wanted to take a minute to talk about the Cross Canada Tableau user group. And so this is something that was started up recently. And it is because the advantage of doing these virtual user group meetings is that now we can pull in speakers from anywhere around the world, or even from far-flung places like Montreal, right? So I really love this concept of the Cross Canada group. And I've asked Candice to sort of explain how it works and how you get notifications of these sessions if you're interested in that.
Yeah, absolutely. So just for everybody's knowledge, the tug leaders all across Canada have like collaborated on bringing together one big tug from time to time, and we do them every once in a while. Really haven't gotten a regular cadence, and we don't have one currently scheduled, but just so you know, everybody has a hub. So like Calgary has a hub, Toronto has a hub, Montreal has a hub, et cetera, et cetera. And if you go and sign up on the hub, and I think Calgary, you guys are pretty good at using your hub.
I don't know.
Oh, okay. So
Tink's got it. She's got it dialed in. I'm learning.
So what happens is you go onto your, you just Google Calgary Tableau user group. And on your page, it says like subscribe for updates. And when you go on and subscribe for updates, then you'll get updates. You'll get notified if there's a Calgary Tableau user group. But when the Cross Canada tugs are organized, we add all of the hubs all across Canada. So we add Edmonton and Calgary and Vancouver and Montreal and Toronto, and there's even one in the Yukon. And so everybody gets notified. So if you're subscribed to your local hub, then you will get notified of the Canada like events. So hopefully we'll be doing one again in the fall, and we'd love to have everybody come, and because we did a networking one during the last conference, which was a lot of fun. So it's nice to get to know people all across Canada and learn what everybody's up to.
Yeah, so
Sure,
that's great.
so,
I didn't realize that's what was happening, was that the Cross Canada one was sending out via all the local hubs. I should have, because I think someone explained it to me, but it just didn't sink in.
So it may look like it's coming from the Toronto tug, because we do the invitation under our splash page, like under our, but it's not the Toronto tug, it's the Cross Canada one. So if you're signed up for the Calgary notifications and you're getting notified, it's the Canada tug. And so if you look at the invitation, it'll say Canada on it.
Perfect. Thank you so much. One of the things that I did want to touch on is just how great Tableau is for the community and for people that are willing to help each other. I recently signed up I found this mentoring program, and they did a kickoff session where all the mentors are in there, and there are people that have like written books and they've done like TED Talks, and I'm just like, oh wow, how do I get one of them to be my mentor? And from like all over the world too. And because of all of this virtual technology now, like it's so easy to do these things. So I really want to encourage everyone to, get in on that and take advantage of it. Tableau's always been great from the start for people who are really helpful and community minded. And I do think that's a topic that I may bring for the next user group, because hopefully I have a good experience with it. Maybe I'll do a couple of slides up and talk about it and let everyone know how it goes. But yeah, so we need to do our draw. Who wants to give me a random number? Julie, since you are our featured speaker.
7.
Random. Okay, number 7 is David
Lucky
Jeffrey.
7.
David Jeffrey, are you still here?
Oh, David has gone. He is the one that asked this question at the beginning.
I'm here.
Oh no, there you go.
Okay, good.
I was
Awesome.
not seeing you in the list. Oh, he's there.
Okay, $100 to spend on
You
all
won. Woohoo.
the drinkware that you want.
From the Tableau
Julie
store.
was just trying to get it.
Yeah, the Tableau online store. I think the only warning we have is that A, it's in US dollars, and then B, we've heard feedback that the shipping can be expensive. So, you know, take caution not to order heavy things, I guess. I don't know.
Yay.
Yeah, so we do always leave a little bit of time at the end for just an open Q&A. If anybody has questions for anybody, for Julie, for Don, for Candy, or myself, or Tink, if you have ideas for things that you would love to see for topics, throw them in the chat, send them to us. We did post all of our contact info in the Google form. It's probably on the hub and stuff too. I don't know. I'm so bad at this admin part of it. But you know, we're on LinkedIn, we're on Twitter. Find us, reach out. Yeah. So if you have questions, go for it. Unmute, ask. I really want to know when Julie's going to send us all of her workbooks so that we don't have to do that work and we can have those nice monitoring and alerting instant reports.
I was going to bring Julie to have the hard conversation with my users and say, no, your dashboard's too slow. No, your dashboard is too slow.
Every month we have templates we're reaching to people, and the removal date is the thing that is working well. So sometimes they have to escalate to their VP, but the VP, for escalation process, the VP has to to provide a timeline for resolution. So the longest timeline I got so far, I think it's 3 months. It was a huge project and they didn't test at all. During all the projects, it was not Deloitte, but another firm, I don't remember. And so they didn't have the resource to solve immediately. It was something, but they did. They were able.
Does anybody else have any questions for anyone?
I see someone saying that they have dashboards that would not have made the 10-second rule. I can't even, like, probably most of mine don't. I would really have to concentrate hard on the efficiency. But that's what you want people to do, though, right? Like, that's the whole point of it, is you want them to think about it.
It's helping to turn everything in visualization instead of filters. So you will, instead of having this huge, and I did a portal once, it was a huge filter with all employees in there. So it was loading. It was crazy. And then I show them how to have a portal, and it was a dashboard for everyone. So it can be an employee, it can be a manager or a VP. You know, it was different levels, and they had different questions, of course, and depending on who they are. So I did this portal, like a homepage for them, and asking them, hey, what do you want? Do you want the performance for your team? So manager will see that, and they will click, and boom, they see only their team. They don't have to select their team in the combo box. So it's really, we split, in fact, one dashboard that was showing a huge grid with a lot of filter on employee, VP, manager, everyone was there, and one homepage with a jump to the good dashboard for the good audience. And more than that, they were scratching their head on the security. Of course, you have everything in there. So they put those workbooks in different folders, different audience, and boom, they have the good jump to the good things that people are looking for. So only the portal is is being hit by a lot of people. And on those 3 workbooks, the filter is very efficient. For an employee, we filter for the employee that is logging up. For the manager, we're filtering for his team based on the 80 group. So it's to organize the security as well, so we can detect who you are, what do you want the best we can, and then you filter.
So are you using row level filtering based on the user?
When you need that, yes, but we recommend always to have a bigger picture when you can, which is using 80 group to represent a team or management, and then you select the sub team. So I'm saying to people, don't try to hide too much. Just hide when it's really necessary, and instead use the security to redirect your people to the good place instead, and try to detect what they want, what questions they want to answer. And usually this will help, because you can put some filtering on context or at the database level really easily for one 80 group, and then it's almost instant in the workbook.
Right.
Does anyone else have any other comments or questions? We have about 2 minutes left in our meeting. Not to say that people couldn't stay a few minutes after, but if people need to go, that we've reached near our end of time. So
I'm curious, with such a big implementation, what does your data landscape look like? Like, is it like a big unified data warehouse, data lake? Is it everybody's got their own little?
Yeah, so the intent of having Tableau Enterprise was in an ecosystem for the data, and the intent was to have everyone in this ecosystem. It's still the intent, because they did discover that first, not all teams have a budget and resource to move their Oracle or SQL database in the ecosystem for them. Data ingestion need to be done. So right now, a lot of data ingestion is done. And when I was talking about the live connection, it's mostly in the ecosystem, because now it's ready, and the database can take that many hits, for concurrency, and it's big. But small databases and things like that, we still have them. We have more than 8,500 data element, from different sources, and 60% are coming from the ecosystem, I think. The other 40% are, I call them normal people, where they will use their Excel, their list to measure performance of something, or a little bit bigger teams with SQL for years, with history that cannot be ingested yet in the ecosystem. So we have all kind of people. We are supporting SQL, Oracle, DB2, and the other one, they lost me. It's too technical. And basically, when a team reached to me, I'm saying, did you prepare your data? And they say, oh, it's in SQL, and prepare your data and come back to me later. So I want to have a data, I want to have a data set, whatever is the source, create your data master, prepare the data, give me your metrics, and then we can talk. So I really have the people preparing their data, and then we can talk. If they need help to prepare the data, we have a team for that as well. So how to ingest in the big ecosystem, and how to prepare your Tableau layer of data. But basically, the fact that they have to have this data prepared well before they schedule something or they connect live, it's helping a lot, because they realize that they need to document as well. I'm asking, did you document the fields, the meaning, everything? You have backups as well, data master. So it's really, they are realizing that they are preparing like a small database on the side. It's a middle database, in fact.
Yeah. But when you get to a big scale, and then you get to people moving around a lot, like in our world today, if you don't document that stuff, like, it's impossible for maintenance, and it feels like so much extra work up front, but then it saves you so much in the future.
And I'm telling them, for the metric definition, a one pager is good. Just list the questions to answer. And then I have a template for that. It's 2 slides in PowerPoint. So what question you want to answer? When? Is it quarterly? Who is the audience? How you calculate and what is the data source? You can put links in there if you want, but at least you define, the project. This way it's a good start. And then you need to define how to refresh monthly. If you refresh manually, one pager, bullet points, connect to this, download that, make sure your tab is named this way, load in Tableau, click, and then publish. I mean, and so we need to repeat that to everyone. Make sure to document every process you have, just the minimum, so people will be able to replace you and put you out of office easily. I don't say that.
Don, are you guys running server on-prem as well, or is it online, or I'm just kind of curious what the differences are.
Well, we're running it on-prem, but it's on a Google Cloud platform.
Okay.
Do you still have
so
access
then-
to Postgres? Do you
Yeah,
still
we
have
still do.
access to
We
Postgres?
still have access to it on both desktop and server.
Because for us, what is the struggle right now? They are removing the access to Postgres for us from desktop. They didn't want to open this gate yet. So I have to prepare the data. If I have a new monitoring or something, I connect to a server on-prem, prepare the extract, push the extract on prod, and then refresh to have my data that I need. And they are about to remove the on-prem. So it's a nightmare, but we'll find a way.
Yeah, that's tough.
And
I really
so
like
is
your
that?
idea. No, go ahead.
Sorry,
Peter.
go ahead, Don.
No, you go.
I was just curious about, like you mentioned the data management module before.
Yeah.
Does that handle some of this type of monitoring and stats, or what?
No,
What's in that piece?
it can. Tableau data management can, but it really exposes the metadata behind your dashboards and about the fields in your dashboards to the users. So what you can use it for is to have comments and descriptions and a data lineage that follows all the way back up to the tables that it draws from the server. So you can start from a dashboard and follow all the way up to it'll identify what tables it comes from on the server. And then you can set alerts on the data. So, or on a column or on a table or on a data source, you can say, oh, this, we've noticed that the load for this table didn't complete and it's a day behind and it's deprecated, and it will, or it's day behind, it'll be fixed tomorrow. That alert, if it's a high visibility alert, will show up on the banner when you actually open every single workbook that data source is attached to.
Okay, cool.
So
Wow.
there's some really neat features. And you also have like a built-in, like a 4 months of traffic, I think, or it's a certain period, but you can see the amount of it's just a little, a very tidy line chart that's just got a little bit of traffic, shows your traffic to each workbook, or each, every object that's published. So if it's a worksheet or a workbook, you can see it. And we also have the ability we use Calibra for our metadata management, and you can then have Calibra and Tableau talk to each other. So you can pull metadata from your server stored in Calibra, push it down to Tableau. You can set alerts within Calibra and push them down to Tableau. If you have metadata that's only stored on objects in Tableau as opposed to server components. I'm thinking, for example, you create a calculated field, right? That's only going to exist within your data source or within your visualization. Calibra will still, Tableau Data Management will catalog it. It's still cataloged as part of Tableau Catalog. You can push that description up to Calibra and have that description available in your metadata management for something that only exists within Tableau Server.
Wow.
It's
Cool.
some really, really neat. Like I've been screaming for years to get this thing installed, right? And we finally got it up and running, and we're doing a proof of concept in another tool that does server-side lineage. So it'll analyze stored procs and calculations, like all the content on server, and determine the lineage all the way through to source tables for,
Yeah, we need that. We definitely need that because Tableau is very popular and we have a lot of data in there. We try to manage data classification the best we can. We have eyes open for the workbooks and fields we see. We raise every year. We contact the tenants of each site and they confirm the type of data classification they have. So we have hard processes in there, but detection of the fields and things like that, it's something we need definitely.
You know what's nice that you can do with data management? You can even put an alert on that. You can say this, this table or this column, this table has PII or data governed under PIPA or whatever. And you can have that as a warning that shows up whenever a self-open dashboard is saying, hey, you're looking at data that's protected. Because we manage our data governance, especially on a new platform. Our data governance is managed at source, so it's protected A, B, and C data, and is masked and unavailable to users at source. So if it comes into Tableau, it's encrypted. You can't. You have to have an AD group to get access to it. Similar to what you're doing for your group management. But it's still nice to have that extra feature to say, oh, look, you're looking at this P&C dashboard, or people and culture and HR dashboard. This has PII. The following fields are PII tagged.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We need that. And right now we are not allowing confidential data at all, and restricted data. We can't.
Mm-hmm.
So they need to prepare the data and make it anonymous and hide some fields.
Nice.
That's interesting. Privacy must be huge in your industry.
It's a nightmare.
It's a lot, right?
Yeah.
It's a lot. It's just like playing with healthcare, right? And in Alberta, you've got the privacy commissioner here. The AG keeps an eye on that stuff as well, so they'll come after you if you're not careful. So
I'm just gonna stop the recording.